Good morning, everybody. It's Monday again. Today I'm going to be talking about how parents influence eating disorders. This is a very relevant topic for me because, my father himself suffered from some form of an eating disorder. He was a wrestler in high school, and I think that heavily influenced my eating disorder. Not only that, but his family, I think it was a multi-generational thing. A lot of his father and his father's siblings were morbidly obese. My grandfather was at one point over 400 pounds. I don't know exactly how much he was, but he was a binge eater, and my father, there were a lot of, and it's not the weight that was the issue, but there was a lot of problems within that family system. And so I think my father tried as much as he could to not be like his family, and as a result he developed, I think, kind of a fat phobia and passed that on to me. I remember hearing a lot of comments, and then also as I got older, just a lot of hassling me about my weight, about going on a diet, from the time I was like 10 years old. I remember my parents hassling me about my weight at one point. Probably when I was 12 or 13, my mom wanted me to go to Weight Watchers, and I look back at pictures of myself now, and I really wasn't an overweight child. I wasn't the thinnest child in the world, but I wasn't really obese by any means. And it doesn't matter if I was obese, that's just not the way to approach body image in children. And so that was very negatively affected our relationship. I think it was very damaging to my relationship with my parents for a long time. I think I have a fairly good relationship with my parents now, but it took a lot of years to heal that. Now, on the other side, I'm a mother myself, and I have a daughter who's almost 12, a daughter who's 7, and a son who's 10. And, we're a family. I like to box. My children do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a runner. So we're a family that likes to be physically active. And one of the things with boxing and Jiu-Jitsu is you always are put in a weight division, or, And so the last submission challenge my daughter did, she was asking, because she had heard, you hang around the gym and you hear that so-and-so has got to cut weight, so-and-so, and it's not always healthy. In fact, there's a lot of unhealthy weight cutting that goes on. But my daughter asked me, do I need to lose weight? And I said, no, you don't need to lose weight. You're at a perfect weight. And, these people that are doing all these things to cut weight, they're doing a lot of unhealthy things to their body, and they're not respecting their body. And so it's okay if you fight in the weight division that you're at. You just need to maintain a healthy lifestyle, and your body will be at the weight it wants to be. And so she took that, and I've been really actually impressed with her, because she's been thinking about it. She says, yeah, I don't need to cut weight. And she said, that's not good, Mom, is it? And when she hears people talk about that. And I see her gaining, I was kind of worried, and, being mom with an eating disorder, you always worry about passing that on to your children. However, I think because I'm proactive and I'd say I'm fairly recovered, and I do a lot of advocacy for eating disorder recovery. I work on a lot of positive body image concepts with my children, and self-acceptance, and saying, you don't need to fit the mold, and you're okay how you are, and this is how our society is, but you're an okay person, and we work on a healthy body image. We don't have a scale in our house. That's one thing that, if you have children, I'd say get rid of the scale out of your house. I mean, for one thing, it wouldn't be good for me to have it anyway. I do weigh myself occasionally because of the sports I am in, but I don't have the scale in my house, and it's, every once in a while at the gym, not even, probably once every 2 weeks, probably once a month, just to see, that I'm in that healthy category, because my weight has fluctuated a lot in the past, and I want to to see, am I eating enough? Am I eating too much? And I work with a sports dietitian too to make sure my diet's where it should be. But I don't really obsess about it, and in my philosophy of recovery anyway is that I try to eliminate the triggers by eliminating them as a trigger, meaning I'm not triggered by that one thing anymore. And so I expose myself to triggers very carefully. I mean, I couldn't do this at first, obviously, to expose myself to all the really triggering things, but I'm getting to where, if I notice a trigger myself, I figure out a way to get that one thing to not trigger me anymore, because that's what I think true recovery is, that I can go around in life and not constantly have to avoid things because I'm afraid of my eating disorder getting triggered and that I might relapse. I think that if I'm able to expose myself and overcome those triggers, that will in the long run be more beneficial for me. So I do that under supervision. I check in, make sure I'm doing good, but I think my daughters, especially my oldest, I was really worried about her for a while, but I see her lately starting to really develop a positive self-concept and starting to really like herself. I think she went through a period where I don't know that she really liked herself, and she struggled with her self-esteem, and she was really awkward socially in some ways. But part of it was the school she was attending, and she got accepted to a charter school. We have a lot of charter schools here. And since she's moved to that charter school, I've seen it be a very positive thing for her. She's got a male teacher who was a NBA basketball player, and she just loves him, and she's got friends there, both boys and girls. And so her social relationships have changed, and I've seen her really just blossom socially, and she's really accepting herself as a person, and I try to reinforce that as much as possible. I don't talk about my weight around them. I don't talk about their size around them. I never say things like, "Oh, you're such a stick," or "You're so thin," because I don't want them to say, "Oh, I'm thin and I have to stay that way." My oldest daughter, she is built really lanky. She is pretty thin, but my youngest daughter, my kids were born, even my oldest, up until they're 5 years old, they're just really solidly built and stocky, and I had people accusing me of letting my children be overweight, but that's just how they're built, and they outgrow it and they thin out. And my youngest daughter, it's taken her a little longer to thin out, and she is thinning out, but she's not as lanky as my oldest daughter, but she's not overweight either. And so with her too, I work with being healthy with her. We do things like we run together. We did a half-mile race together. She also does jiu-jitsu, but with both of them, I really try and focus on building them up without focusing on their body size, and letting them know your body is the right weight that it should be. And I see a positive concept developing in both of them, and I think you can really influence that as a parent in the way you approach it. So you don't talk about diet around your children. I let my children know, because they ask me, "Mom, are you in a special diet?" I say, "No, these are things that I like to eat." They help my running performance, but, if I feel like eating a cookie, I'm going to eat a cookie, and I do. I eat with them. Eating with your family, parents eating with their children really can influence how their children view food. So having, I'm gone a lot because I'm in school, but when I can, sitting down, having meals with him, having the same food they're having, not making a special diet food, because then they're going to see this, "Oh, Mom's got this special diet, and so I want to be like Mom," because girls especially really want to be like their moms. And then, I've got, and fathers make a huge difference too. Fathers play a huge role in eating disorders. If a father is not involved with their children or is negative and very critical, the daughter has a much higher chance of developing an eating disorder, like in the case of my father. So, so parent involvement, and and I realize there are single mothers out there, there are single fathers out there, so going to be different situations, but developing that relationship and that self-concept and avoiding that constant criticism and negative is really important. So I have to run, but have a good day.